Welcome back everybody. Today is Thursday, and yes, that means acting analysis, and today I'm going to talk about person of interest. Today is all about contrasting characters. If you have two characters, what could you do? How could they move? What could their visual contrast be to set them apart so they're not just two characters moving the same way? The show is about a group of people getting a specific number from a very smart computer, and that number reveals a character or maybe more, and they have to protect that character. And in this sequence, you have this character who's currently in Westworld, which just ended, and Jim Caviezel, he's the one that protects the characters that they are assigned to. And what I want you to look at is their movement. He is always looking around, as you will see, because he has to check for potential threats. So he's very strong and he's very quiet, and he's kind of that martial arts trained ex-soldier, and he's just kind of looking like that. Whereas the other character in this episode, he's very wealthy, very eccentric, he does crazy stuff, and he's just very, very active and moving around and moving his arms. And you can see towards the end how there is a specific switch where he gets very quiet to make a point, even though the point is, to him, humorous. It's not an important life-threatening point, but it sets up the contrast of I'm always moving, and then suddenly I'm leaning in and I'm saying something important, even though it's not really that important. So as they go in, you can see, I love stuff like that. He's just a funny actor. He is super excited. Jim Caviezel, not as much. They go down, and you can see here the change. Look at that. I love this sequence here, because of the colors and the silhouette, but he is very, very straight in his posture, looks around slowly, and he goes from this side, goes behind the character, very active. You can see his arms, super excited, holds on to his clothes, and through all of this, it's a very, very slow move, and you can see later as he sits down, he's just all very quiet and controlled. So it shows him, come on here, sit down. You can see he sits, kind of looks around, he goes around, and I love this. Come on, ready? Even that little this, I love that. He goes nyang, 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 does this, and even here he has to cross his legs. I love this, love that weird little thing there. The big sigh. He's just really, really, really excited. And in comparison, again, you can see so much movement, goes around, sits down, arms. Look at that, there's so much movement all the time, super excited. Then you can see him straight. Look at how he sits down, opens up jacket, sits down, massive contrast in movement, and he checks if there's anything, and then he starts talking about, well, let me tell you why we're here. And now he leans in and is a lot less active, and then he tells him, wait, you got me all the way here for fried dumplings. And then again, for contrast, as he leans in, super serious. Double fried. Now, I like fried things. I would probably be super excited to eat fried food, even though it's not quite good for me. But I love this sequence, again, that contrast and that build-up of this one strong character and the other character moving around. I think that's super cool in your scene. That's hard to animate. You got walks are hard to do, but then you got one character and the other character going around all the time. I think that's a really cool setup of contrast between characters, contrast in timing, in movement, in position. Bodyguard, if you would do something similar, could be very tall and strong, built in a very strong and wide way in terms of silhouette and everything. And the other character could be small and skinny, running around, being all active. So there are many, many ways to get that contrast across in a shot like this. But if you would move all the time and then do all those sit-down movements and getting excited and everything, and then you would say fried dumplings in that same exaggerated manner, there wouldn't be enough contrast. It wouldn't make as much of an impression. So what I love about this is that build and build and build, and then he sits and goes, what are we doing here? And then he quiets down and goes, double fried. There can be other ways to do this. I mean, walks, again, are hard. You could also just simplify it and have them just sitting, or just start with one turning around and then sitting down. It's back to your sit down assignment. In the FNA, before we see the Disney character analysis from Big Hero 6, how characters sit down. So if you don't want to do a whole walk, which again is tough, you could just do one character sitting from the back and the other character turns around and sits down. You can still have complexities of a 180, and then the way he sits down, that tapping the hands, or you could do like, come on, and waving, and I like how he does that with the table. Let's take a look at it again. Again, very, very static, lots of movement around. But if you don't want to do this, if you go forward, you could do something where you technically would start here-ish. So imagine this character would be standing, turns around, sits down, and does this. You still have a lot of movement. You still have the complexities of a character doing 180, but still the difference of character, how this one character sits down and then the other character. So if you go forward, then you would have, and you could even potentially rip this off and just cut to not seeing the face and just seeing this very twinned, strong, static pose, and then reveal the super non-excited face, which could be something too. You don't want to show or reveal how one character is not excited. So it could just be the back of the character. The other character does a lot of movement, so you wonder, what's the other character? Who is that other character? What does that character feel? And then when the character sits down, he or she reveals the face of really, and then bam, there's your contrasting emotion. So that's something you could do. And you could still then continue with, if we skip to this here, that moment of, okay, wait, what's going on? And then him leaning in as well. And all of that, which then gives you the opportunity to go from a full body or half to show body mechanics and big gestures and big silhouettes to a close-up, because now it's serious, or even if it's not serious, but it's a bit more subtle. And then you can do your full close-up or medium close-up of facial acting, where the character leans in, and then you show your facial performance and your different acting skills. For me, lots of ways to show off body mechanics, subtle acting, different camera angles, and most of all, contrasting characters, that if you have two characters, they're not the same. They don't move the same unless there's a very specific story point. But I think to me, contrast is key. Timing and contrast, I'm a huge fan of both. Poses and all that good stuff, of course, super important. I'm gonna do an FNA about poses later on. But for me, timing trumps everything. Timing is key. Timing just defines so much. You can have great poses and really bad timing, and that ruins the shot, and kind of crappy poses but really good timing, and it still works. So watch out for that. Watch out if you have multiple characters. It could be 1, 2, or 3, maybe a couple background characters. What could you do in their placement, their posture, their movement? What can you do to make sure that the audience looks at this character, then at this character, and give them different personalities through movement, through their gestures, or how quiet they are, how loud they are, just to give it interest and contrast and more entertainment value for the person that watches your shot. If you like this, give this a like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe and hit that bell button so you get notified about all uploads for all the daily uploads. As always, if you watch the whole thing till the very end, thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow for an FNA or next week for other stuff.